report to Student Services. Taylor Albright, report to Student Services.
So we are really wanting to talk about the colonial era. When we look at this, we really are starting in about 1600 and we're going to about 1750. In 1750, we kind of hit that French and Indian War moment, and that kind of really shifts the colonial identity to a place of a strong sense of who we are and starting to move towards war. But before we get to really even 1600, we got to go back and just do a really quick review. So we have major European kind of involvement. Guys, we have major European involvement. Give me our major players. Who are our major players? Yes. So one would be France, Great Britain, Spain, Portugal, Germany not so much. You could throw in there the Dutch or the Netherlands. And let's talk a little bit about where these guys kind of show up so that we are starting to generate a sense of geographic purpose. So France, where is their major holding? Canada. Spain, where is their major holding? Central and South America, good. And in North America, we're talking about Florida. Florida. And the West. Good. Portugal, Central and South America. And then that leaves us with Great Britain and the Netherlands. Let's be kind of specific. Where are we talking about when we say the Netherlands? New York. Yeah, New York. Very specifically. And, or the area that we now call the New York, we'll call it the Hudson River Valley. Great Britain. We have a large swath of territory, right? New England will definitely claim. New England all the way down to the Carolinas, right? And even Georgia. With the exception of the Hudson River Valley in the middle. And we know that the Caribbean is really what we're talking about when we say Central and South America. The Caribbean was mainly claimed by the Spanish and the Portuguese. Right. So when we talk about these folks, what did we decide was motivation? Why are they coming?
Search for money, and then England, or I know England was getting ever populated.
Okay, I heard the 3 G's, which are God, the spread of religion, gold, the search for wealth.
Taylor Albright, report to Student Services. Taylor Albright, report to Student Services.
And glory. This idea that we can seek adventure, fame, and claim a place for ourselves in history, right? Not just for our nation, but for ourselves as individual explorers. All right. So let's bring Great Britain into this picture. So we're going to leave the rest of these guys behind, and we're going to bring Great Britain in. So because we're really interested in the United States of America, we're going to focus on that. So, Great Britain. Give me the place where the British established themselves first. Not Jamestown, but Roanoke, right? Roanoke. This is the lost colony. Where was Roanoke established? It was established by the Virginia Company, but Roanoke lost colony was in North Carolina, along the Outer Banks. Who is the person responsible for establishing? Sir Walter Raleigh. Good. And it is a bust, right? Not successful. Who's the monarch? Yes, this is under Queen Elizabeth. It was really it was not a charter colony. It was a royal colony in the year that it existed, right? It was specifically established by Queen Elizabeth and Sir Walter Raleigh. But it was a bust. They came back a year later and everybody's gone. All right. So, didn't work. Queen Elizabeth dies. Yeah, that was a bummer. She is the one who got this whole exploration business started for the British. Remember, the British were late comers onto the scene. So, we fast forward to the era of King James. And King James decides, hey, we want to try this exploration business again, right? This is happening in the 1570s. And then it's a bust, so we wait. Then King James comes on the scene, and King James decides he wants to try colonization again. Give me the lowdown. When does this happen? When does he make this call? 1607, really. 1607, and he decides instead of investing directly, what is he going to do? He's going to do indirect. Thank you, Austin, for making the jump there. Oh, that was Caleb. Indirect investment. He's going to make it be a charter, right? So he's going to allow joint stock companies to come in and establish this for him. And what is the joint stock company that it forms? The Virginia Company. The Virginia Company, spelled Virginia. Who is Virginia an homage to?
Albright, report to student services. Taylor Albright, report to student services.
The Virgin Queen, Queen Elizabeth, right? The not so Virgin Queen. All right.
Ashley Conquest, report to student services. Ashley Conquest, report to student services.
All right. So joint stock companies are formed. The one that we care about is the Virginia Company, and the Virginia Company establishes Jamestown, which is in Virginia. I cannot spell Virginia today. All right. So, some things that we know about Jamestown. Number one, I heard first permanent British settlement. permanent. I spelled wrong. Okay. Uh, yeah. First permanent British settlement. Uh, St. Augustine is the first European permanent settlement in North America. All right. It was established in swampy, bad territory, right? Uh, which led to a lot of disease. Help me out. It was on a peninsula.
Didn't they like back themselves up into a mountain triangle formation?
Huh? I said, yes, they built a fort first, and they built it in a triangle. Okay, so we're getting down to the crux. So, swampy disease, peninsula, and Native Americans helped early on, but after one season, what happened?
White man's gonna
They started a war, they started attacking, and it wasn't good. There was this period after the first season of something called the starving times. Remember, they spent all of their time looking for gold and none of their time planting crops, fishing in the river, hunting for deer, anything that would sustain their lives. And remember, the Jamestown settlers were 109 men. Remember, there were no women involved in this settlement. Who are the two people that we remember from Jamestown?
John Ross.
John Smith and John Rolfe. John Smith is not a stay-in kind of guy. He comes in, helps them through the starving time, no work, no eat, but then moves on. John Rolfe is the guy who stays, and he saves for tobacco. Excellent. Good job. All right. So, remember, I'm going to post this so you can look at it if you need to. All right. So, when we studied this early colonialization period, we designed our notes so that we looked at southern colonies, we looked at middle colonies, and we looked at New England. To help me out, what is Jamestown? Jamestown is a southern. And its main crop was tobacco. But what were other southern crops? Indigo. And what else? Rice. When does tobacco get introduced? When does cotton get introduced? With the slave trade, as it ramps up after Eli Whitney invents the cotton gin, way in the 1790s. All right. So give me some characteristics that live in the southern colonies. Fertile soil. Tell me about the relationships with Native Americans. Not good. So very hostile relations with Native Americans. What types of colonies were in the southern colonies?
Royal colony.
Okay, we had
And there's a buffer one, or like
royal, colonies. What are royal colonies in the South? Controlled directly by England, by royal governors. What are they?
North Carolina and South Carolina.
North Carolina, North and South, South Carolina. What other types of colonies do we have in the southern colonies?
What was Georgia?
Georgia was settled by James Oglethorpe.
And then it had a bunch
When
of
it has
things.
one particular person who settles it, what's it called? Oh, excellent, Haley. Georgia was a proprietary colony. I think I spelled proprietary wrong. Which is settled by Oglethorpe. And you're right, it was a penal colony established for relocation of convicts. What is Virginia? What type of colony? A charter colony. Good. All right. And sometimes we consider things like the headright system, which gave 50 acres of land to every person who brings over indentured servants. Who serve out their 7 years or 14 years or lifetime of indentures to the people who bring them over. We consider all of those kind of systems, even though they existed across the colonies, they really kind of live in the southern colony conversation. Virginia House of Burgesses comes into play here. Remember, Virginia is the first one to establish a representative body in the New World. All right, so New England is settled by whom? Puritans. And separatists. What's the difference? Okay, so both Puritans and separatists are interested in reform. Puritans want to reform from within. Separatists want to reform from outside. Right? Outside, break away. Within, form within the system. But what are they trying to reform? What church? The Church of England. The Puritans are associated with Massachusetts Bay. The Separatists are associated with Plymouth. What traits do we associate with this idea of the New England colonies? Shipbuilding, fishing, merchants. Are they farmers? Not too large scale, not like the southern farmers, because the soil is not so great up here.
Fur trade
Fur trade, you could go fur trade here too.
They have better relations, not necessarily good, but better relations with Indians.
Yeah, mixed bag relationship with Native Americans. Initially good, but then convert or die became the kind of scene. So, strained relations with Native Americans because of this religion piece. right? Life expectancy was much higher in New England. Family groups came and were established here in New England. The types of settlers coming were very different in New England than they were in the southern colonies. The southern colonies were about getting rich quick. New England colonies were about coming here to stay. All of the New England colonies, for the most part, were charter colonies. All right. So the middle colonies. What colonies are we talking about? Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York. Maryland, Baltimore, Catholics. Proprietary colony. Delaware and Pennsylvania, Quakers. But mainly Pennsylvania. Delaware is named after Delaware. New Jersey and New York are all restoration colonies. These become royal later. Settled by the Duke of York after we wrestle them back from Netherland control. Right? So we have a mixed bag. We have Germans. We have the Dutch. We have French. We have British. We have Catholics. We have Quakers. We have Protestants. Let me finish this last sentence and then I'll let you leave. All of this tells us that the middle colonies were the most diverse of the three, and therefore they were the most tolerant of Native Americans because of that diversity. So in general, positive relations with Native Americans. What were they doing to make money? Trade, fur trade, and also think of them as the breadbasket. Their industry was centered around wheat, corn, and barley. Anything that you produce to go into making liquor or beer. That's this group. All right. If you haven't signed in on the iPad, make that happen. If you have, great. I'll see you on Wednesday if you choose to come back. I hope this was helpful. Or Thursday, that's what I meant.